Uh,
I was being social. I don't know.
Welcome to the Monday, December 18th meeting of the Burlingame City Council. Thank you all for being here this evening. So I will call the meeting to order and and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would like to ask Mayor Big Stick from Pacifica to lead us in the pledge.
Council member, but thank you. As of last Monday, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilman. Quick note of thanks to a number of our electeds and public servants in the audience, including, I guess, Councilman Big Stick from Pacifica, former mayor several times, Ann Keegren, as San Mateo Union High School District Trustee Greg Land, Hillsborough Council member and former Mayor Marie Chuang, and then Charles Stone, best known for being a wonderful Burlingame attorney and at some point being a mayor of one of our southern cities. So thank you, Charles, for being here. That takes us to our first item, and that is the roll call.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Here.
Councilmember Beach.
Here.
Vice Mayor Coulson. Here. Mayor Brownrigg.
Here. There's no need for AB 2449, so we'll move on. There was no closed session, so we won't have a report. Upcoming events, I will be candid. I was thinking about other things and forgot to ask our librarian and our park and rec manager. So I'm going to pass on upcoming events unless colleagues have items they'd like to mention. All right. Well, just read your Burlingame e-newsletter, and you should always be visiting the library. So that's where you'll see things going on. We have two presentations, or actually three. The first being the Rethink Waste poster contest winner. So who's got that?
So that is me. Wow, I'm muted. Is that some other weird noise?
No, you're
Okay. Do you have that picture, Megan?
Yeah.
So our Rethink Waste poster contest winner could not be here because he has soccer on all the Mondays.
Oh, right.
So he did send us a little statement. His name is Tao. And he says, and there's this picture with his poster. He says, "Dear City Council members, thank you for recognizing my recycling poster, which are in first place in the Rethink Waste poster contest. I'm super excited it will be on the Recology trucks. I got the idea for my poster by watching my friends at McKinley Elementary at lunchtime. Seeing everyone working together to pick up and sort the garbage to keep our school clean made me realize how important recycling is to take care of our planet. I hope my poster helps everyone in our city remember to make good choices for the environment. Thanks for choosing my poster. Help people recycle more. I'm happy I can help make our city cleaner and greener. Sincerely, Tao." So congratulations to him.
Excellent. And sorry that he couldn't be with us. I hope he scores a lot of goals. Our next presentation is recognizing Burlingame High School's 100th anniversary, which was a big deal. Anytime a school or anybody turns 100, that's a big deal. So who's got this one?
I think you do. You do.
I do.
There's a proclamation in front of both of you
Oh,
that
thank
the vice mayor put together.
Thank you very much. So appreciate, is there somebody here from the high school or not?
Right out there.
Oh, you want to come up and join us?
Friends.
And for that matter, Greg, you could if you wanted.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, you should.
You should. Super.
Hi. So I just wanted to thank you both, and we are so delighted to be able to issue a proclamation on Burlingame High School's 100th anniversary. And as always, I will paraphrase some of this because most people stopped being read to when they were 8, so I try not to do that too much. But the high school opened to much acclaim in 1923 and has excelled at educating students and leaders for the community and for the nation for 100 years. And that is a terrific accomplishment. We all, it is one of the embedded symbols of Burlingame, the high school with the trees and the fields that we all enjoy. And so it's really an integral part of our community. Teachers have exhibited a passion for cultivating learning and demonstrated expertise in a wide range of classes so that a student, no matter what his or her or their interest might be, will find something to enchant them and hopefully lead them on to a full life. We all know about the extracurricular activities that BHS is famous for, Go Panthers. So with that and so much else that we all have, I will turn to our Vice Mayor for comments as well. But the community, including the Burlingame City Council, has passionately supported and partnered with this esteemed institution for the past 100 years and looks forward to another century of collaboration. So thank you very much. Sure, Sydney.
Well, I would just like to call out and recognize the beautiful centennial celebration that was put together by your committees. And thank you and everyone on the committees for their hard work. I have to say, I think a number of us and people in the audience partook of the Saturday or the Friday night street closure, and vote from the audience, most fun we've ever had in Burlingame. It was so much fun. It was great. And I want to thank you. And we're hoping maybe we can replicate that when we open up the town square and we can have another event like that and figure out a way to make it something annual. So do you want to say a few words?
Well, This is,
Introduce yourselves.
this is Melody Ackley and I'm Jan Privatera, and we were the co-chairs of Friday night. And so we're here on behalf of the Burlingame High School Alumni Association, but more specifically, the Lorton Avenue Block Party. We were selling a print of Burlingame Avenue, Burlingame High School that was actually done by Dale Perkins.
Oh, love
Raziel Unger owns the rights to it, and he gave it to us to be able to sell. Dennis Mayer, who's a Burlingame, his kids went to the high school, put our centennial logo on this, and we'd like to give it to the city council, just to thank Burlingame for stepping up and being so helpful to the two of us who
yeah.
never tried to do anything like this before.
That's very gracious.
And I have one more for Donna, because this actually was Donna's idea.
Oh.
When they first
The
started.
big party, no surprise.
We're first starting to plan the centennial, was your idea.
Yeah.
We weren't always happy with your idea. But it turned out really great. So we really wanted to thank you specifically.
Welcome.
And thank you for coming out to help with our raffle that was superbly successful.
Yay.
So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very
Wonderful.
much.
Do you want to do a picture with me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I enjoyed Friday.
I know, wasn't it fun?
I was the one.
Thank you.
Finally, we're going to have a brief report on some major initiatives that we've undertaken. And I just want to say before our city manager that as most of you, or even all of you know, all of us up here, we have full-time jobs and activities outside of city government. But we love what we do. And we love it so much that we added work. We added additional things to work on. And I just want to compliment my colleagues up here for taking on these issues and the issues that we are already handling for the city. And sometimes with our city manager trying to hold us back just a little bit because of the iceberg. Over to you, Manager Gold.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Brownrigg. So this comes out of our January goal setting session when we talked about priorities for the year. We already had a few city council subcommittees, and some of those ended because the work had been completed or was about to be completed. And then we thought up some new ones that we really either hadn't made a lot of progress on or wanted to move forward. So the list of city council subcommittees and the major initiatives is here. So we have new city hall. Those of you who noticed, we have a leak in the roof. So you might have stepped around a bucket coming in here. We had a presentation on the city hall project at our last meeting and all the screens went dead. So this is not the world's best building. We have looking into a shuttle program. El Camino Real is going to undergo a whole big renewal and renovation in the next few years under Caltrans auspices, but we are very much involved in making sure that's done well and done right. Sea level rise, very important to our whole community. It's our economic engine out there with all of the hotels and other businesses. We have creeks that can back up and go into the residential areas. So it's a really important project for us. Water reuse and retention. This came about before we got out of drought, but we'll be back in drought any day now, probably, except for tonight when it's raining. But it's a really important project. And then Vision Zero has to do with pedestrian and bike accidents and getting down to zero accidents. So we formed all these subcommittees. I'm going to ask my colleagues to come up. Jeremy Kirshner, assistant to the city manager, is working on the new city hall project with myself and other staff and our subcommittee. And then Syed Mertuz, our public works director, gets to talk about all the other ones. And Syed's staff member, Stephanie Brewer, put together this presentation. She really did a great job. And so I just wanted to acknowledge her good work on this. So if we can have the next slide, and Jeremy, take it away.
Sure. Good evening, Mayor Brownrigg, Vice Mayor Coulson, council members. So I'm going to talk about the City Hall Ad Hoc Subcommittee staffed by Vice Mayor Coulson and Councilmember Ortiz. So the goal of the subcommittee is to analyze the feasibility of designing and constructing a new City Hall. And we've taken a few major steps towards that goal. That includes hiring an architect, Group 4, to complete a preliminary space planning and site analysis that includes potential sites for a new City Hall as well as our existing City Hall. We've also hired a real estate advisor, Kaiser Marston, to assess preferred parcels and the financial feasibility of development. So as part of Group 4's work, they identified the existing space per employee in City Hall, which is the top bar graph on this slide. And underneath it is the industry standards. As you can see, we're at 169 square feet per employee, and the industry standard is somewhere between 200 and 250. So a potential area where we can improve with the new City Hall. So in addition to that work, on the next slide, sorry, Group 4 drafted a space needs analysis. So that accounts for different levels of staff growth. So the top chart on this slide accounts for anywhere from no growth of staff to 40% growth of staff. And, you know, a City Hall could potentially last 50 years, or in the case of this City Hall, more than 50 years. So, you know, we want to account for future growth. Additionally, Group 4 analyzed several city-owned parking lots based on a bunch of different criteria, including functionality, parking, zoning, and more. And that's shown in the chart below. So we've looked into the existing City Hall site. We've looked at several parking lots downtown, and we've also eliminated some parking lots downtown that didn't meet our functionality needs. So in addition to all of those sites, Kaiser Marston is soon going to provide its own financial analysis of the city-owned properties, but they're also looking at privately owned lots, potentially for rent or for sale, hopefully with existing structures that could potentially fit our needs, but real estate may be limited. And this isn't the end of the work. Staff is going to continue to meet with the City Hall Ad Hoc Subcommittee in the near future, and we're going to continue to come to City Council to provide updates and receive direction. So that's it for me.
Great. Thanks, Jeremy. If we can have Syed come up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I will talk about the shuttle program. This is managed by Mayor Brownrigg and Councilmember Beach. The goal of the program is to develop a robust shuttle program that will better serve all citizens in Burlingame. Because the city has many shuttles that run during the commute hours. However, the shuttles are not available off commute hours and also does not serve all parts of the city. The City Council Subcommittee has met twice this year to work on reviewing existing programs and exploring options, and also has met with commute.org and also reviewed other Bay Area cities to look at what else we could do differently. The work will continue on next as part of the ongoing effort. Go to the next slide. Thanks. I will talk about El Camino Real here. This is again, Mayor Brownrick and Councilmember Beach are heading this subcommittee. The goal of the project, as Lisa mentioned, is to renovate 100-year-old El Camino Real to address several safety issues and improve pedestrian, vehicular, and drainage infrastructures, among many other issues. While doing that, preserving and maintaining the historic eucalyptus grove. As part of this effort, the City Council Subcommittee Community Task Force staff members have been closely working with PG&E and Caltrans to underground the overhead utility lines. To the next one. The project status is that Caltrans has held several community meetings earlier this year and also has completed the draft EIR. The project design is at 65% level, and the design will be completed next year, middle of next year. There are more public meetings planned for next year. As part of this effort, Caltrans and PG&E are working together to determine the sequencing of construction of overhead lines, undergrounding work, and other elements of infrastructure redesign. Go to the next one. Caltrans has also selected Tykert Construction as the contractor who is advising the design team to look at sequencing of construction and also look at the design elements. There will be a lot of other issues that will come as part of this project, including traffic control, and the city will have opportunities to influence the final design of the project so that the impacts are minimized as a result. There are more updates available on the website. Do you have any questions before I go to the next one? No, okay, good, thanks. The next one is the sea level rise and shoreline protection. The city is working closely with One Shoreline, City of Millbrae, and other agencies to develop project alternatives. Recently, One Shoreline was here. They provided an update to the City Council. The preliminary alternatives have been evaluated, and the draft EIR is in the process of being worked upon, which will be available, which will be ready next year. The preferred alternative for the project is to build an offshore barrier to effectively manage sea level rise and to minimize impacts. The project, again, at the end of the day, the project goal is to protect Burlingame shoreline and from future sea level rise, as well as related flooding, and to also improve improve and enhance the shoreline access and recreation and trails along the bayfront. We are also working with SFO possibly to see if they can be partner of this project. Next slide, please. I think I covered this. The next one is the water reuse and retention. This is headed by council members Ortiz and Stevenson. The goal of the project is to expand our current water conservation programs and also explore recycling water. The city is conducting is a process of conducting a feasibility study to essentially look at how we can provide recycled water to properties along the bayfront area as part of the initial phase, and then expanding thereupon to the rest of the city. City Council subcommittee has met on this project to look at the programs, and city has received $1 million from the Department of Water Resources to undertake this project. Thanks to Senator Josh Becker's office for this effort. A check presentation photo op event is scheduled for this Thursday at 1 p.m. So welcome council to be part of that. We are also working on issuing an RFP to consulting firms to initiate the project, and we'll come back to council for future updates and for input as part of the ongoing work. Next slide. Next slide. Vision Zero. This is headed by Councilmember Beach and Councilmember Stevenson. Again, the goal of this effort is to make Burlingame streets safer through adoption and implementation of Vision Zero plan. So one of the questions that comes is, what is Vision Zero? Many people may not be familiar with that. Vision Zero is a modern transportation philosophy which essentially believes that loss of life is not acceptable price to pay for mobility, and essentially it's a process where the projects or streets are designed in such a manner to take into account the behavior of the drivers in advance and facilitate the design in such a manner that it protects loss of life, it prevents loss of life, and prevents major injuries in the transportation projects with a proactive approach. Staff has met with City Council Subcommittee to discuss this project and have applied for a federal Transportation Department grant. And we were just this week announced that we received a $400,000 grant from the federal DOT. So we'll be coming back to the subcommittee again to discuss the next steps on this project. That does the update.
Thank you. That was an excellent overview. Thank you very much, Director Murtuza. Does anyone have any questions for Director Murtuza? No. Thank you all for listening too. This gives you a snapshot of what we've been working on, and appreciate very much the update. Thank you. Well,
All good.
So that takes us to, I guess am I obliged to do public comment? Would anyone like to say anything about any of these projects? I encourage you not to, just so. All right. Thank you all. The next item is public comment. This is for issues that are not on our agenda. If you'd like to speak and join us, welcome to the podium. This is again for issues that are not on the agenda. And please come and.
Good evening, Mayor Brownrigg, Vice Mayor Coulson, Council Members Beach, Ortiz, and Stevenson. For those here tonight who may not know me, I'm Susan Baker, the President and CEO of the Burlingame SFO Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to thank Mayor Brownrigg for his year of extraordinary service as our mayor. It was a pleasure and an honor working with you this year, from January's State of the City address at the Chamber's annual meeting to many ribbon cuttings, mixers, and informational events this past year. 18 to be exact, but who's counting? Thank you for your commitment to your constituents and to our incredible city. Also, congratulations to you, Vice Mayor Coulson, Burlingame's 2024 mayor. I appreciate your ongoing commitment to our chamber. Thank you for attending all our Chamber Board of Directors meeting. Your monthly city updates are one of the highlights at our meetings. You truly care about your constituents, our business community, our environment, our economic growth, and the diversity, the equity, and the inclusion that is needed for our community to thrive. Again, congratulations, Mayor Donna Colson. I look forward to continuing to work and collaborate with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Baker. And that allows me an opportunity to let everyone in the audience know that on January 19th, it is the Chamber Luncheon and the State of the City. It's a great event. Please come along. And real kudos to you, Susan, for the work you've done at the Chamber. There are throughout the Bay Area chambers that are either sort of muddling along or even failing, and ours is growing. And so that's a great testament to you and the hard work you all are doing. Thank you for that. And then a brief thanks also to John Root, who's former council member who I failed to acknowledge at the beginning. And also we've been joined by Gina Pappin, our sister council member from the great city of Millbrae. So that takes us then into the consent calendar.
Do you want to check if there's any other public
Are
comment?
there any other public comments? Yes, please. Sorry, come join us.
We have Mary Hawkridge from the Measure I Oversight Committee.
Okay.
Good evening, Council or Mayor Brownrigg and the council. I'm here today to provide a readout on the Measure I Oversight Committee's review of the revenues and the finances and the expenses for the fiscal year ending June 2023. So we met on November 16th. The community members of the Oversight Committee were Jack Easterbrook, Krista Zitnick, Todd Gemmer, Pete Roddy, and myself, Mary Hawkridge. And we were also joined by Council Member Vice Mayor Colson, and also Lisa Goldman, City Manager, and Finance Director Helen U. Scott. And prior to the meeting, the audit report that was put together by the city's external auditor was emailed out to everybody in advance. And the revenues for this last year were up by 130,000 for a total of 3,122,000. And this is the revenues from the sales tax. And those funds were spent on salaries and benefits for one police officer. That was 196,000. Then $1 million was transferred to service the community center debt. And then last but not least, $2 million was transferred to the city's Streets and Sidewalk Improvement Fund. So in conclusion, the Measure I accounting and finances are in good order, and the committee would like to thank Finance Director Hugh Scott for her diligence, hard work, and patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hawkridge. Thank you for that report. Oversight is a really valuable thing for all of us. Did anyone have any questions for Ms. Hawkridge? Seeing none. Thank you very much for that work and to the whole committee. I think that now takes us to the consent calendar. So we have 9 items on from items 8A to 8I. Would anyone like to pull, 9A to 9I? Would anyone like to pull any items? I see none. Would anyone in the public like to pull anything off for conversation? I see none. I'd welcome a motion to approve.
One that I would like to just pull off momentarily was the electrification is powered next to the city's courtyard.
Okay, so
Item C.
Vice Mayor Coulson would like to discuss item 9C, so I would welcome a motion for the remainder.
So moved.
And I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Ortiz, seconded by Councilmember Beach to approve items 9A, B, D, E, F, G, H, I. If we could do roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Beach.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Coulson,
Yes.
Mayor Brownrigg.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Vice Mayor Coulson.
Thank you. The only reason I pulled this off, it's nothing controversial, but I was over at the courtyard today and I did have a chance to take a look at what that parallel station looks like over there. And I just wanted to pull this off to once again, really thank the mayor for having the foresight to jump into this conversation and all the council people to join us. This was originally scheduled to be placed adjacent to about 10 neighborhood homes. It's about a 40-foot high electric grid that runs vertical. We were able, working with Syed Martuza and our staff, to move this onto our courtyard where it is shielded now by trees and other infrastructure. So it's not just sitting adjacent. And it was, I think, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, this came up. And you know, when you see this now, we're paying for it final and it's all done. And I was there today. I really was grateful that we were able to move that. And I wanted to just thank the staff again, as well as my colleagues, for being so on the dime about that and getting it done the right way.
Appreciate that. That was saving victory from the jaws of defeat on that one. So that is a good outcome. Any other questions or comments? Anybody in the public like to comment? Seeing none, close that. And thank you, Vice Mayor, for flagging that.
Make a motion to approve item C.
Second.
Motion by Vice Mayor Coulson, seconded by Councilmember Stevenson. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz.
Yes.
Councilmember Beach.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Coulson,
Yes.
Mayor Brownrigg.
Yes, item passes 5-0. So I promise we have 3 brief administrative items, and then we get to the more fun part. But this is really important, and we're so proud of our staff for finishing the housing element. So that takes us into 10A to approve the Burlingame housing element.
Thank you, Mayor Brownrigg and members of the council, and I will keep this brief, which is not to imply that this is not an important topic, but there are more fun things coming. And also, we have been talking about the housing element for quite some time. The city council looked at this in great detail back in January. For those who want to, if you could go to the next slide, please. Anyone who wants to kind of dive in deeper, there's a staff report that goes over a lot of things that I won't go over in this presentation. There's also an environmental review document to support that. I do want to acknowledge with us tonight is our planning manager, Ruben Hurin, who's been part of our housing element team. And then also, I believe online is our economic development and housing specialist, Joe Sanfilippo. This has been a big group project. We've had support from the city manager's office, the city attorney's office, outside counsel, environmental consultants. I believe Leo Mena from Rincon Associates is also in attendance should there be questions about the environmental review. With that said, let's move on. Very quickly, what is a housing element? It's the city's housing plan, and it's basically we have the task of looking at where should housing go over the next 8 years, and plus the housing policies and programs that are needed to support the needs of the community. It's an element of the general plan. Next, please. And speaking of the general plan has really provided us an excellent foundation for the housing element. We didn't have to do the heavy lifting that a lot of our communities had to do. We've been talking about housing in Burlingame for quite some time. Back in 2017, 2018, we did the Burlingame Talks together about housing program or series, and that was really to talk about, you know, San Mateo County is very good at creating jobs, has a little harder time creating the housing units for those jobs. So those conversations were to try to create an understanding about that. And then the general plan really took upon itself to basically take responsibility for a fair share of the region's growth, but on Burlingame's terms. So the decision was made to have approximately 20% growth, which seemed like something that could be manageable. We were also in the general plan hearing from the community. There are some definitely areas we want to keep the same. We love it as it is, but there are also some parts of town that could use some changes, and the general plan reflects that, and that includes ability for more housing production. Next, please. So I'll go through a few numbers here. There is what is called our RHNA number. That's the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, and that comes to us from the state. Now, coincidentally, the number we got from the state is just ever so slightly higher than what our general plan had already planned for. So our general plan had a lot of foresight in that regards. And as I mentioned, we didn't have to do any rezonings, anything really drastic, the way some of our peers have had to do here in the county. That is broken down by different income levels. So you can see here on the chart, the 3257 is broken down by market rate, and then a series of different below market rate income categories. Next. Our housing needs allocation, this is kind of showing the puzzle pieces and how the math all works. So 3,257 is what we're assigned by the state. Our general plan anticipated 2,951, which is that 20% growth. So that's, we really just had to make up another 306 units. Next. Now, what's exciting is we get to count, you see lots of housing development going on around town. We get to count pretty much all of those new projects that are under construction or have been completed. So what is called a pipeline project, we have 2,808 units in the pipeline. That's those are projects that are either submitted for application, or they're approved, or they're under construction, or they're recently approved. So anything that, or sorry, recently completed. Anything completed since July of 2022, we can count in this current cycle. So the Bower, which is right over by the freeway at Rollins and Broadway, we can count that. Bayswater Apartments over on Bayswater at the train station, we can count those as well. So we're already way ahead of things, and we're only just starting. So that means we have 449 more units to make up in 8 years. That seems pretty doable. Next, please. But that said, as we mentioned, there are the different income categories. So there are the big numbers, and that is related to housing production. Click next, please. We have the pipeline projects, and next, please. There is the unmet need. So like every other jurisdiction around us, we tend to overproduce what is called above moderate or market rate. We have a harder time with the lower income categories. However, next, please. We are making some good inroads. Last week, we had the ribbon cutting for the Village at Burlingame, and that is the city's real first affordable housing development that it has participated in. Pacific Companies is the developer, and they will be owning and managing it, but it could not have happened without the city's participation. And next month, we'll have a groundbreaking for another development up on Murchison and California Drive with 69 more units. We also now have a housing fund that we did not have before, so we are in a good position to be able to support more affordable housing development in Burlingame. Next, please. What's in the housing element? I'm not going to read this out, but you could see there's a lot. It's a lot of analysis. We tend to focus on the numbers, but there's programs, there's analysis, all kinds of things, 7 different chapters. And next, please. 4 different appendices, which are as long as the element itself. And that includes everything from our sites inventory to an audit of our prior 8-year cycle and our community outreach. Next, please. And then we have these site inventory maps. This one's really hard to see, so if you could skip to the next one, please. The light blue or the cyan color there, those are our pipeline projects. So you can see there's a lot going on already. And then the purple these are sites that we put into the inventory. This is meant to show the state and to anyone else that the city has adequate sites for those 3,257 units. Next, please. This is the, what we call North Burlingame. So that's the area around Burlingame Plaza. And importantly, the Rollins Road corridor, which is an outcome of the general plan. You can see in Rollins Road, there's already 3 pipeline projects under construction, and that's nearly 1,000 units right there. Next, please. So what the sites inventory does, we do have to show our work. So there's a lot of analysis that talks about the different sites, why we think that they may be good candidates for housing in the future. We need to do all the calculations for the densities, you name it. Next, please. And we show what we do know. The sites that are shown in there, it's not like we have secret information and we know that somebody's going to do something. We disclose what we know. In some cases, we do know that there's intent to develop. In other cases, we say the site looks similar to another one that was developed. So we try to be as transparent as we can. Being on the site's inventory, it's really meant to be a demonstration of an outcome, but there's nothing magic about being on the inventory or not on the inventory. We had some people contact us a while back saying, why aren't we on the inventory? We want to do housing. If the zoning is in place, you can do the housing. The inventory is really just to show a scenario of how we can get to 3257. There are the policies and programs too. So as much as there's a lot of focus on numbers, we want the housing to be responsive to the needs of the community. And that includes both the income needs, but also different services the community may need, location, schools, all of the kinds of things that are important to people's lives to live here in Berlin. Next. And then for environmental review, I have 2 bullets here, which doesn't do justice to the amount of analysis. So again, this is not to imply that this is not important, but what we've prepared is, it's called an addendum to an environmental impact report. So just to kind of explain what that is, in lay terms, the general plan had an environmental impact report that looked at all of the potential impacts from that general plan. Now, as it turns out, our housing element just needed to add a few more units, a few hundred more units, plus a buffer. And the intent of the buffer is to show that not only do we have adequate sites, but we have more than enough. So in case any of those sites don't develop, we can still make our numbers. So what the EIR addendum does is it just checks to see with these changes, with these additional units, are there any changes to the findings or the conclusions of that environmental impact report? And the conclusion was no. All of the findings that were in place for the general plan are still applicable, even with the additional units, but we wanted to, and we're also obligated to do that analysis to show that work. Next. So that is a very fast overview of what's, a very complicated document, certainly available for questions. And there is a resolution for the city council to consider that does approve both the housing element and the environmental review, which is the EIR addendum.
Well, it's really us that needs to be thanking you rather than the other way around. It's a tremendous amount of work, as I think that brief review shows. We have talked about this at length for months. I will say, kudos to staff because for many reasons, it's a great report. But for those cities up and down the state of California that have not gotten their reports done, there are remedies that include letting a developer build whatever the heck the developer wants to build until such time as they get their element approved. So this is keeping the control of Burlingame's fabric and its development in our hands, not in someone else's hands, and we're grateful. Are there any questions for Director Gardner? Seeing none, I will open it up to the public. Would anyone say anything in the public? All right. A great deal of work compressed in a pretty brief review, but I would welcome a motion to adopt the resolution and so forth. Yes, sir, Mr. Stevenson.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution for both the housing element as well as the EIR addendum.
I'll make a second.
Motion made by Councilmember Stevenson, seconded by Vice Mayor Coulson. If we could have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Councilmember Ortiz,
Yes.
Councilmember Beach,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Coulson,
Yes.
Mayor Brownrigg.
Yes, that passes 5-0, and that's really a terrific accomplishment for staff. Thank you very much.
Just a little round of applause.
All right, let's try to do this next one quick too, so we can get on. We have two different commissions to vote for. The first one is 2 seats on our Park and Rec Commission.
That's me.
In this particular one, there were only 2 candidates.
Coincidentally, we had 2 seats, Commissioners Dale Chang and Howard Wetton. They both reapplied for their positions. The council interviewed them on December 11th. And the appointed terms are for 3 years, ending in October of 2026. Should open for public comment and then do your votes.
Would anyone like to say anything about this? They are 2 excellent commissioners, provided they're reapplying. All right, so please vote and hand your vote over to the city clerk.
Are we doing both ballots?
Just the
Just
first.
we already gave you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Councilmember Stevenson, Dale and Howard. Councilmember Ortiz, Dale and Howard. Councilmember Beach, Dale and Howard. Vice Mayor Coulson, Dale and Howard, and Mayor Brownrigg, Dale and Howard.
No comment.
Thank you very much. And that takes us to our last official item tonight, and that is, or at least our last voting item tonight, and that is an appointment to the Traffic Safety and Parking Commission. Here, there are 2 seats, and there were 4 excellent candidates, and this one is a lot harder.
So you did have 2 expiring terms, Commissioners Lynn Israelit and Adrian Lee. Ms. Lee opted not to reapply. Actually, she applied and then I believe she withdrew her application right before the interview. So you did interview 4 applicants, Rajiv Batra, Arlene Couchy, Lynn Israelit, and Siddhartha Palani. And these are 3-year terms ending November 6, 2026. Could open for public comment and then do your voting.
Would anyone like to comment on the Traffic Safety and Parking Commission? Seeing none. All right, hand over our votes.
Councilmember Stevenson, Arlene, and Lynn. Councilmember Ortiz, Arlene, and Lynn. Councilmember Beach, Rajiv, and Arlene. Vice Mayor Coulson, Arlene, and Lynn. And Mayor Brownrigg, Arlene, and Lynn.
Okay, that is majority for Lynn Israelit to be reappointed and Arlene Couchy to join the Traffic Safety and Parking Commission. And thanks to all of the candidates who were incredible. As is so often, this is one of the hardest decisions we have to make between great, enthusiastic, intelligent residents serving on commissions. It's one of the hardest things to do. That is it for the business of the evening. Are there any activity reports that council members feel like sharing? I see none. Are there any future agenda items for the next mayor?
No.
I see none at this point. And so that takes us then into the ceremonial aspects of tonight. I have already, I think, introduced our visiting electeds and friends and so forth. Thank you for being here this evening. And that takes me into my comments. You got a little taste of what we do. You are all here, so you're probably interested in the city anyway, but you got a sense of the diversity of what we work on. And it takes a lot of time. And I just want to start by thanking the people who make it possible for me to do this. And that is my wife, Marty Birchall. Thank you very much. My mother, Linda Brownrigg, is in the back. And then my oldest friend since the 2nd grade, Alan Eagle, and his wife Tamara are here. And I thank them all. Obviously, I have many friends in the audience. I thank you all too. But but your friends and family are the ones who give you the strength to carry on and help you put up with the occasional complaint that you get. So thank you to my family for that. It's been really quite a year. I think we can all agree. It came in like a lion and it's leaving like one too. Just for context, the city of Burlingame has a little over 200 employees. Our budget is $150 million. It's a big enterprise. It's a big enterprise that every day is making sure that water goes where water's supposed to go, that trees get trimmed, that police are on the street, that firemen and women are rushing to the places where they need to rush. And it's all thanks to really great coordination by department heads, which includes our fire, police, library, public works, park and rec, and so forth. But it's under the helm, the captained by our amazing city manager, Lisa Goldman. And I just want to call out Lisa for a terrific year, a difficult one, but a really terrific year. I would like to I don't think any of us will forget the winter of 23 when more rain fell in a shorter amount of time than any time since Abe Lincoln was president. Our public works crews and tree crews worked around the clock, and we all appreciated their professionalism to keep us safe and to keep the water at bay and the trees from falling and hurting us. Even our water treatment plant got into the act. That day that we had so much rain, it handled 5 times more water volume than it's designed to handle without spilling a single drop into the bay. And that's to the hard work and alert actions of the folks who work down there. But it wasn't all a tough year, especially at the beginning. We got to welcome our newest council member at the beginning of this year, Peter Stevenson, who's hit the ground running and is doing great stuff. So welcome, Peter. You know, you got a taste of it, but I'm really proud of the work that we all have done as a community on housing. You heard about it from the housing element, but I'm going to put it in a little bit of perspective. You know, one, why did we lean into this? Because we want to make sure that our community stays a place where teachers and nurses and handymen can live and raise their children and enjoy the same parks and beautiful streets and great public schools that everyone here does. We want to remain, thank you. You can't do that if you keep the housing stock stuck where it is and just watch prices go up. So today, after years of hard work and staff from our community, because it's work from the community, not just from city council and staff, we now have, as you saw from Kevin's numbers, either opened or under construction or in pipeline, almost 3,000 new housing units. That represents more than a 20% increase in housing. If every city in the state of California were to grow its housing units by 20%, there would be no housing shortage in the state of California. That exactly meets the number that Governor Newsom says we're short. But we're doing this not because some legislator told us to do it. We're doing it because we collectively believe it's the right thing to do. And I'm really proud of that. And you saw that nice picture of opening up 132 units of all affordable housing just 3 blocks from here in the middle of our downtown. That cheerful yellow building will house 76 families of medium and low income, 56 seniors of medium and low income. This is a project that our council set in motion over 8 years ago. So things take time. The El Camino Real renovation, which is going to start next year, I'm sure there are a lot of our residents who think, well, good for you. This was an answer to the storm of 23, and good for you guys getting on it so quick. No way. We started this 6 years ago because we looked ahead and saw the problems that were coming and saw that what we had to do. So that project is fully funded by the state at $120 million. That's what it'll cost to rebuild El Camino. At the same time, we started years ago trying to get the Broadway grade separation fixed, the most dangerous intersection in the state of California. And we made progress this year. We're not done. This will be a Colson administration accomplishment, I hope. But of the $320 million that we collectively need to find, we're within 50 to 55 million of getting it done. So, you know, as one is reminded that government takes time and it takes people committed to a vision, and then it takes follow through. So, so I'm proud of that work that we've done. Now, those are some of the big things that we did or that we're doing, but we also did a whole bunch of small things. Manager Goldman likes to talk about the iceberg. You know, what you see happening every day is just a little bit of what's actually happening in the city every day. But one of the little things that we did get done is we managed to agree to ban gas-powered leaf blowers next year, starting in July. So no more gas-powered leaf blowers, and I am really happy about that. Now, of course, nothing is ever perfect, and in our city, the mayor is the one who answers the mail. When we get incoming from citizens, they almost always copy the entire council. And we adopted, I think, a very sensible policy many years ago that the mayor will answer. So you don't get 5 different answers. You're not taking up 5 people's time to research and write something. But it puts a real burden on the mayor. And so I would say that this year, the mailbag for me anyway, the most passionate email came in on hookah smoking, which I didn't even know we had a hookah lounge. And then, of course, the bike lane and road diet on California Drive certainly has generated some passionate email. I do want to point out that average speeds on California Drive since we put in the road diet have dropped from about 45 miles an hour to 35. 35 is the posted speed limit, by the way. And so that's what makes it a safer street for pedestrians and cyclists and even other motorists. But we are always listening, we're always paying attention, and if there's a better way to do this, we will look at ways to improve it. I also want to note, another part of this year that will be memorable is that we've had some hard negotiations with some of our city workers. And, that's what happens in negotiations. So it's a little like an argument in your family, I think. It's unpleasant while it's going on. It can get pretty heated because everyone knows everyone else. But at the end of the day, we will figure this out and we will move forward just like a family. So we have the deepest respect for all of the folks who show up every day to make this city hum. In closing, and before I hand it over to almost Mayor Coulson, I remember that John F. Kennedy said he wanted to be an idealist, but without illusions. And that's what we're up here trying to be: pragmatic policymakers who want to make the city better for everybody, including businesses and including those who aren't here yet. It's a city that doesn't squabble over who will become the next mayor because we know the work is more important to us. It's a city that creates art and memorials to remind us to give back, to take care of other people, to stop and see the beauty that surrounds us every day. It's a city that works every day thanks to the men and women in our fire department, police, public works, park and rec, libraries, you name it. It's your city, it's my city, it's the city of Burlingame. Thank you very much for a wonderful year. Thank you. Thank you. That's very nice of you. I always say that city council is a we thing. It's not an I thing. You can't get things done all by yourself. You need a team. So appreciate really all of my colleagues so much. A brief explanation before I hand over the gavel to Vice Mayor Coulson. So I think in a real stroke of genius, back in 1999, the city council adopted a formal rotation procedure for mayor of our city. This procedure ensures that each council member will become mayor in a routine pre-established order. No muss, no fuss, no voting, no lobbying, no politicking, no stabbing in the back. It just moves along the bench. And so tonight, pursuant to that procedure, it is my great pleasure to turn the office of mayor, this year more than ever, to turn the office of mayor and presiding officer of this council over to Donna Coulson for the coming 12 months.
Thank you.
Right. And And so with that, let me introduce both our new mayor, Donna Colson, and our new vice mayor, Emily Beach.
Thank you all very much for joining us tonight. And I really appreciate that standing ovation and round of applause for Mayor Brownrigg. I got very fortunate in the rotation to follow him. This is my second time following Mayor Brownrigg. And I have to say, his innovativeness, collaboration, his willingness to chat at any time, day or night. Thank you very much, Marty, by the way, just because I know. Is been really great, and he's been a wonderful mentor, and he's really set the bar high for me as a junior council person coming in. So it's really been a pleasure, and I thank you for all the years of service, Michael. And thank you all for joining us tonight. I just want to acknowledge a couple of important people in my life in the audience tonight. First of all, my very beautiful daughter, Claire Colson, who flew up from LA. She spent last week grading 60 papers. She's a school teacher, a proud graduate of Burlingame High, teaching in Los Angeles School District 11th grade history and 9th grade ethnic studies. And I'm so proud of her work. I'm so proud of Burlingame High. Thanks to that amazing school and the wonderful work she does. And thank you for flying up today, sweetie. I appreciate it. My husband, Eric, who has basically to hold my purse everywhere I go. And he does it with a very nice smile and is always kind about it. And I appreciate everything you do, hon. And all our friends and neighbors today who showed up to support every single one of us here, and staff, especially thanks to two people, Robert today, who was vacuuming the water out of here because we had a little flood, and he was here diligently vacuuming. And also to Alyssa, who is the person who makes the happy happen in the lobby afterwards. She does a wonderful job, and I just want to thank her specifically. I am also looking forward to a year themed in community engagement. And I have two small initiatives that I'm just going to talk about momentarily, and I'm very excited to implement with the help of my colleagues. The first being a community engagement day that I hope they will rally around, which we're hoping to have maybe in June this year, which is a way to provide residents of all ages to find a pathway to becoming everything from a volunteer coach to a commissioner or even a council member. A lot of people in the community don't even know how to do this. They don't know how to get here. How do I even run for office? How do I apply to be a commissioner? How do I volunteer to coach a softball team or a baseball team? What do I do? And soccer. Thank you, Ricardo. Go to Ricardo. He knows it all. And so, and also working on our age-friendly plan. And I've managed to, I think, recruit former Mayor Keegren to help me on this initiative as well. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to really sit down and figure out how people can get involved in our community in a way that will suit their time and the things that they want to do. And then the second is going to be an opportunity to have conversations with council. So I'm hoping all of us will maybe consider taking a night once a month or every other month. And just one at a time will be available at either the community center or at the library, I think, would be the two best locations. And just so that when people come here, I think one of the things we've all heard, and Mr. Brownrigg, or Mayor Brownrigg, Councilman Brownrigg, really had to handle a lot of public comment this year. And people, I think, get frustrated sometimes when they show up here and they say, what, I get 2 minutes, that's all I have. And so this is a way for people to really engage with all of us, not by district, not by anything, not like, anything other than just we're here and we're listening and you have more than 2 minutes. Please come and join us for a cup of coffee. So I'll be working with Megan on this, and I really appreciate her willingness, and I really hope colleagues will join me in this because I think it's a really wonderful way for us to show a little transparency and to post-COVID re-engage our community. So that's enough about these little initiatives. I just want to suffice it to say that all on behalf of the whole council, we are wishing you a joyous holiday season. And we look forward to seeing you in the new year. And I would like to invite you into the lobby for libations and cake and a little celebration before we wind up the year. What do I have to do now?
You have something to give to our outgoing mayor?
Oh, do I? Do I?
She's already given me something.
I've already given him something. Is it something different? It's the like,
The plaque.
oh, well,
This,
we can do so
Later.
the outgoing mayor, just so everybody knows, the tradition is the outgoing mayor gets a plaque with the gavel, like actually stuck to it, so you cannot pull it off and gavel anybody down from then on. And it goes on your wall. And I think you have a few of them now. I think 2 or 3 of them. And so you know what they look like and you know what they are. So here's your gavel. Here's your gavel.
thank you.
Here's your gavel. And thank you, Michael. And thank you all for coming. Let's all go celebrate. And is that okay?
Yep.
All right. And we'll go from here. Take care.